Hello, Charlie TCG here, and welcome back to another deck profile. Turbo Lost Box is looking to be one of the strongest Lost Box decks right now. It's in a really good contention, performing pretty well overall at some of the regionals. So I want to talk to you about its matchups, how it's positioned in the meta, and also a list for you to look at. So let's jump into the video. So overall, it's doing pretty okay in EUIC to get 2 top 16s and one top 32. But in the regionals that happened past weekend or so, it did manage to get 1 win, 2 top 4s, a top 8, and a top 16. Really powerful. The idea of a deck is to get as quickly as possible to get to Dragonite V, do that amazing attack to do 250 damage. And you can also use cards like Kyogre, Raikou, and Raging Greninja as other sort of good clearance of attacks. Raikou has the benefit of getting the extra draw card, as well as Kyogre could be amazing to do 250 damage late game. An incredible strong for a turn 1 attack and even closing, like I just mentioned. And it has a range of big, strong 1 and 2 prize attackers, all thanks to the amazing Comfy flower selecting to power up your Lost Zone as quickly as possible. Now I want to talk to you about the list and showcase to you how strong Lost Box really is. So this is in fact Grant Manley's top 4 placement at a Portland Regionals a couple of weeks ago, and it's really powerful. Similar to the list which I showcased as well a couple of weeks ago in my top 8 breakdown. We play 4 copies of Comfy, the flower selecting of one of the best abilities right now for the Lost Zone. Looking at the top 2 of your deck, put 1 of them in Lost Zone and 1 to your hand. You can power up as quickly as possible by utilizing Sableye, the amazing Lost Mine. If you've got 10, you can do for 12 damage counters any way you like on your opponent's field. Really powerful to potentially get the KO, which you set up with Raikou or Dragonite, or potentially get 2 prizes with added Comfies, or which are already previously damaged. One Cramorant, I think Cramorant you always have to play in the sort of list. Cramorant is really powerful because it can attack for free if you have 4 or more in the Lost Zone. And now we go to the attackers. I'm going to start with Dragonite V. It also has Shred, so it can go through anything, which is very scary and good. And it has the amazing other attack, which has 250 damage, but you do 30 damage to all of your benched Pokemon. This is really powerful. If you think of it and team up with Sky Steel Stone, you can get that big attack out as quickly as possible. But you want to sometimes maybe be a bit more preserving with it because we don't play a high count of Lost Vacuum. The other attackers which are really good in this matchup is Raikou V. It has really good fleet footage, so you guarantee you get to draw a card, and the Lightning Rondo does 20 plus 20 for each benched Pokemon, both yours and your opponent's. Kind of capping out at 220 damage. May seem a bit okay, but you can get the KO on Lugia because they're not playing Dunsparce mainly in the list. Radiant Greninja is an amazing sort of attack. The way to get the energies in the discard pile is really powerful with Conceal cards, and Moonlight Shuriken can get that instant KO on any of the bench Pokemon if there's no mana fees in play, which is really strong. And the closing card in this matchup is in fact Kyogre, the Aqua Storm attack, which does 250 damage maximum if you discard top 5 cards of your deck, and they're all energy cards. You kind of team this up with Energy Recycler, and that's the only way how you can reuse your energies out as quickly as possible. So those are the Pokemon you should always go attack, and then 1 copy of Manaphy because, like I said, Greninja is really powerful. You have very weak Pokemon, some of them, so Manaphy really helps you protect in that. Our item cards are 1 copy of Heavy Ball. We play so many one-of attackers. Heavy Ball is amazing just so we can get out the Raikou or the Manaphy, which is hiding away in the prize cards. 1 copy of Echoing Horn. Echoing Horn is really good, especially if cards like Greninja, Sableye, and Kyogre wasted damage to bench Pokemon and potentially get an extra prize again of his own, which is already gone, is really strong. 1 copy of Lost Vacuum. Lost Vacuum is a way for you to accelerate your Lost Zone as quickly as possible, getting rid of the Sky Steel Stone or potentially the Pokestop, which you no longer need, already fueling your Lost Zone by 2. I mentioned that just now. 3 copies of Energy Recycler. The only way how you can put energy cards back in your card deck for now until we get Super Road return next month, so you can really use that Aqua Storm attack with Kyogre. And the rest we do play 4 copies of Escape Rope and 4 copies of Switch Cart. These are your switching cards of choice. Switch Cart has an extra heal, so you can get that healing off in the Lost Zone matchup, which is really powerful when you have cards like the Dragonite V. And 4 copies of Escape Rope. You want to be disruptive. You also want to fuel your Lost Zone as quickly as possible with Comfy. Our searching items of choice are 4 copies of Nestball and 4 copies of Battle VIP. None of these have an on-play effect, so Nestball is really, really strong. It's the same thing with Battle VIP Pass, and Battle VIP Pass becomes an amazing Lost Zone fodder in the late game, and we play 4 copies of Mirage Gate. This is how this deck really ticks. You can then flood the board back with energies to get those big one-hit KOs with Dragonite, Kyogre, or maybe even get the energy you need and require for Sableye. Supporters, we do play 1 copy of Boss's Order to get that disruptive because he was hitting the bench so much. Boss's Orders can become really helpful near the end late game. Clara is really, really good to guarantee you can reutilize the Sableye and not rely too much on Ender Recycler and get the Pokemon which you may need in the late game, and 4 copies of Chorus Experiment, the strongest supporter and the draw effect of this deck, looking at the top 5 and putting 3 in your hand and 2 in the Lost Zone. To round up the list, we play 1 copy of Beach Court and 1 copy of Pokestop. Pokestop is really, really powerful. Because you play so many item cards, you can guarantee get the items which you may require, or the energies and discard piles you can reuse with Clara or Energy Recycler. And we also play 2 copies of Sky Steel Stone. Very, very strong. This is where you can have Raikou and Dragonite in the list. You can get any Pokemon card you might need, potentially even fuel the Lost Zone as quickly as possible. And finally, the energy counts are 5 water, 3 lightning, and 3 psychic energies. Really, really good sort of range, and I think Grant's an amazing choice about choosing how strong this list really is. I think Lost Zone Turbo is one of the strongest decks right now in this format. Really, really good position, and I think this deck really showcases it. It's so interchangeable. If you're worried about Mew, you can add Drapion, but Kyogre is in a really good spot and kind of is a bit of a sleeper pick, but it is starting to pick up the rise, so it's definitely a card which could go in and out of the format. So let's see its matchups. So overall, pretty positive against Miraidon. In fact, it's mirror match as well as Mew and Gardevoir. The reason why I put Lost Zone boxes together, I've also included Zard, which you are a bit more favored in because you can potentially use some big 2 prizes to really stop them from getting those big attacks with Charizard sometimes. Mew VMAX because you are single prizes and potentially have the capability to get the big 1-hit KO at times. That's why you'll really think it's a bit favorable. And Gardevoir as well, because of Sableye, you could just flood the board with loads of damage counters along the way, and maybe even get 5 to maybe even 6 prizes, which is really, really good. Some of its big negative matchups could be those big Pokemon which have huge HP, like Arceus Giratina, Single Strike Lugia. These can potentially have up to 300 HP, which is really, really scary for sometimes to match up with. And Lost Zone Goodra, because it can do healing, is really, really scary. You mainly have to go in the single price sort of race. You can never really get the big 1-hit KO on Goodra unless you use Shred with Dragonite, and then it can heal with Moisture Star. So overall, kind of an alright pretty much matchups overall. It always has an out, so pretty much every single deck gets thrown to it. Kyogre can really throw in some of the matchups to be much more favorable by doing 200 plus damage to the bench Pokemon if there is no Manaphy in play. And Dragonite, the threat to do 250 damage turn 1 is nothing to really be snubbed at. And they're really, really scary if you go against some decks which may just go Lugia Pass. I think it's in a really good position right now. As I talked about, it is the strongest deck right now in the format. I think it performed really, really well by getting one of the wins. Just Arceus Giratina really did surprise us with it. Apologies. I hope you have enjoyed this video right now. If you have, be sure to like and subscribe and comment down below, what is your favorite Lost Zone box deck? Is it the Turbo? Is it the Sky Steel Stone? Or is it a completely different one like Goodra and Giratina? My name is TCG. If you're new, please make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you in a few days' time. Bye for now.